Hi everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to learn about data types and a little bit more about variables and how to use them. So I'm still in my previous version here, so let's click on File and Save As, and then I'll change my version to 5, and that way I can now remove all of our previous scripts and things out of this project, so we've got a clean area to work with. Alright, so we're just going to be working with a script in this, so we'll create this in the server script service. So left click on that and add a script, and we can call this our data types script. Right, and we'll get rid of our print hello world. Alright, now we talked a little bit about variables in the last lesson and how to assign objects and things to them. But in this one we're going to assign different data types, and we're going to learn about 4 different data types in this example. Right, so the first one is the string data type. So as I said earlier, if we type the word local, alright, this tells the program that when the program runs, it gets to local and it goes, aha, okay, then the name that comes after this is going to be a variable, alright, that we're going to use just in this script. So, and it's referred to as scope. So we can say local, okay, defines the scope of the variable. This becomes more important later when we learn some more advanced programming concepts about scope. But for now, just know you need to use local before you create a variable. And then we give it a name. So we'll say my variable for now. Alright. Now if we just type local my variable and don't do anything else, alright, this is called declaring a variable. So we can put here local my variable is a declared variable. So we've declared to the program that this is going to be a variable, and if we put a print underneath this and say my variable and run it, you'll see we don't get an error, it just comes up with nil. Alright, because the program knows that yes, it's a variable, but we haven't assigned anything to it, it's just nothing, okay, and that's why we get this red line under here. Now when we want to, ideally, you want to assign something to it, and we use the equal sign to assign a value to a variable. So we can say equals assigns a value to the variable name. Alright, and in this case we're talking about a string data type, as I mentioned earlier, and we use a set of inverted commas. Now whatever you put in between these commas is going to be a string. So it doesn't matter if I put a number or a comma or letters or whatever it might be, brackets, as long as it's inside of these inverted commas, this is a string data type. And beneath this we can say print my variable, which will print the string, and we can find out if it is indeed a string by adding type my variable. Right, and if we run that now, you'll see it's printed the string and it's also printed the type, which is string, down below. Okay, so to keep track of our different variable types, we're just going to add a couple of prints in here. So we'll say print, and inside of here in capital letters, string data type, right, and below here where we'll add another print statement in with inverted commas, and we'll just put some stars across here to separate them out, so when it prints we'll be able to see what's happening. Alright, so now we'll have a look at the next data type, which is a we'll just drop down a couple of lines, and this one will be a number data type. So we can add in here print and capitals number data type. Alright, so it's exactly the same process. So a local, alright, my number variable, and you can put a number in here. Now a number can be 76, it can be 76.56, it can be negative 98. So all of these are referred to as numbers in Lua. Alright, so if we put in here, let's say, well, we'll say negative 98 in here, and we'll add our prints to check what's going on. So we'll print out my number variable, and we'll also print type my number variable, and we'll add our, just grab a copy of this and put it down underneath, and let's give it a run. So you'll see if we just slide this up here, we've got our string data type, and then it's separated, and number data type, so negative 98, and it is a number. Right? So that's 2 data types so far. Now we'll have a look at our next one down below, and this one is called a Boolean data type. Right, so a Boolean data type can only be one of 2 values, either true or false. Alright? And it's used to control things in data. So to create one, we can just say my Boolean, alright, just for short, equals, and we can say true or false, and you'll notice it comes up in a yellow writing. So if I type false, it'll come up as yellow, which means it has a special purpose within the program. Alright, and underneath we can say print my Boolean and print type, okay, my Boolean, and then we'll take our print down the bottom here, and we probably want to put our print up here as well to say Boolean data type. So we'll get more into how we use these in later lessons, but let's give this a run so we can have a look. Right, and there we go. It's told us that it's Boolean, false, and it is a Boolean data type down the bottom. Right, the last one that we'll have a look at, and we'll be doing a whole lesson on this a little bit later, is called the table data type. Now, tables can hold multiple pieces of information, okay? So tables hold multiple data types or objects. Okay, tables can hold just about anything, and we can, if we'll put in our print for a start, so table data type, and we'll create a table. So if we create an empty table, so we can say my table equals a set of squiggly brackets. All right, so that's an empty table, and we can add things into this. Now they don't have to be all the same, so we could put a string in here, and we could say apple. All right, and then when we want to add another item, we simply put a comma in between whatever it is, and we might say 26 and a comma, and we might add a Boolean in at the end. So all of these are legitimate things to have inside a table. Most often they contain the same sort of thing, so it might be a list of fruit or a list of numbers or a list of Booleans, but you can store anything inside of a table. All right, and underneath we'll print my table, and we'll print type my table, and we'll just add this down the bottom, and let's run that, and you will notice that we get a little bit of a different output with our table down here. We get table data type, and then you get this squiggly brackets with the dots. So we've got a drop down next to it, and if you click on that, it shows you the items inside of the table. So the numbers over here are called index numbers. So the first item is apple, the second item 26, etc. So tables are made up of an index and a value. All right, so that index number there is like a variable within the table, and it's assigned the value of whatever comes after it. Okay, and like I said, we'll be doing more with table, but it does show that it's a data type here, and this is how tables are laid out. Right, so they are the 4 different data types that we're looking at the moment, and hopefully you will understand sort of how to create them. Now, the only other thing that I will point out in Lua, in some programming languages, once you declare a variable, it stays that data type. However, once you've declared a variable in Lua, say my variable up the top here, I could come down here without the local, say my variable, because it's already been declared, and I can assign a different data type to this. So in this case, I might change this to 65, and up the top here, it was a string, but now I've assigned a new value to it here. So underneath, if we print my variable and print type my variable, that you'll see down the bottom here, it's printed 65 as a number. So it's changed the data type based on what it is that's assigned to the variable. Okay, so keep this as a reference, just in case, until you get it straight in your head. But we will be making use of these in future lessons, so that and you'll get a better idea of how to use them. And in fact, in the next lesson, we'll be talking about conditional statements that will make use of some of these variables and show you how they can be used to control your code. So I will see you in that lesson.